Then we will close the public hearing on these two ordinances, and I will.
Close.
We're good. All right. And I'll ask council if they have any comments. Councilman Kaplan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Boy, when I said elections moving from May to November would see politics infused, I didn't think I'd be compared to Mitch McConnell in June, but here we are. For the benefit of the public who may not have heard my remarks the other day, I just wanted to provide them a little context, which I think matters here. I had said regarding a separate hearing, one regarding the superintendent search, that a group that gave the superintendent a 5-year contract before trying to get rid of him not once but twice, and is now on the hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars in payments to the outgoing head of the district, maybe, just maybe, the level of dysfunction should be considered before they granted a multi-year contract a month before a new majority was voted into office. Council, as opposed to the Board of Ed, creates ordinances. Ordinances are not the same as employee contracts. If we vote on this tonight and it passes, we can undo it at our next meeting. And so can anyone sitting here. The people coming here trying to obfuscate and confuse know this. But our electorate understands the score. We have a pretty intelligent populace here in Teaneck. So let's talk about things in a better way. Let's elevate our conversation instead of tracking in, what'd you call me, Ms. Goldberg? Mitch Kaplan? Look, we're not in grade school. One day you might sit here, and let me tell you something from a couple years sitting in this chair. Statements like that will seem very foolish. Let's be better, and we deserve better now. There's no question that the hospital needs to be updated, and that an ordinance allowing that update to proceed is required. The neighbors and those against this ordinance repeatedly say that they're pro-expansion, just with different X, Y, and Z necessary. What are the X's? What are the Y's? What are the Z's? That's where the rubber meets the road in terms of governance. When handling negotiations, on multiple occasions, all the parties were asked, if they did this, would you agree? Would you sign at the bottom line? It wasn't meant to be the end all. It wasn't meant that the other side or, every side would agree to what you signed at the bottom. It was a concrete point of negotiation. It was a place where if we removed one item from one list and one item from another list, we can get to an end point. Throughout this entire process, I thought we would hopefully get to a place where everyone was happy, but at least end up in a place where everyone was the same amount of miserable. Negotiations are messy. That's a feature, not a bug. But every negotiation must come to an end at some point. The town can update its ordinances at any time. And while I won't speak to the pending litigation regarding, several of these actions, I want to say to anyone who is not happy at the end of this hearing that we are still here, that we can still amend, and that we can do what is in the best interest of Teaneck, which is what we are put here to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Kaplan. Councilmember Rice.
Sure. I think we can all agree that everyone appreciates and values Holy Name Hospital. I think we'd be hard pressed to find anyone in our community that doesn't support the hospital and their need to expand and to do even greater good. And for quite some time, it's been noted that 2 years that we were in conversations and negotiations with the neighbors who were most impacted by the expansion. And while as in typical negotiations, they started very far apart, but over time, it appeared that they were very close to an agreement that would be in the best interest for both parties. I'm a lifelong member of this community and love the diversity that it champions, but with that comes vast differences and varied opinions and perspectives. But through communication and a desire to build equity and inclusion, we can seek what is in the best interest of all. I'm not convinced that the agreement could not be reached between both parties. I would like to see that the conversations and negotiations continue with the hospital and the neighbors so that they can all reach a mutually agreeable decision that benefits all parties. And therefore, I will be abstaining from this.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that I am going to support both ordinances and am ready to vote.
It's always sad to see neighbors versus neighbors, and it's even more disheartening to see neighbors versus a community hospital. Members of the zoning subcommittee and this council spent over 2 years working with the hospital and the neighbors to address concerns that were raised. We have a responsibility to do what's best for all of Teaneck. Giving Holy Name the ability to continue to be a world-class hospital for the next 50 years is best for all of Teaneck. We see all over the country hospitals closing and or consolidating. We saw it here in Bergen County. Having a hospital 3 minutes from every corner of Teaneck is not a luxury. It is a necessity when it comes to saving lives. This ordinance is good for the neighbors, good for the hospital employees, good for the hospital, and good for all of Teaneck. This ordinance will shift the majority of the future needs of the hospital to the front of Cedar Lane and Teaneck Road, will provide the ability and flexibility to Holy Name Hospital to continue to be a world-class hospital, will give parking to their employees so that they reduce or eliminate the need for employees to shuttle 3 miles back and forth before and after a long shift of work, take cars off of the surrounding roads, create additional buffers and setbacks, and create one main entrance to the hospital with emergency vehicles having an in-only gate on Vandalinda and not two-way traffic, so my friends, the Dagenholzes, can get a reduced amount of vehicles going up and down Vandalinda. And yes, as I mentioned last time, I will support closing the access doors as well so it doesn't become an easy drop-off on Vandalinda. There's so much more that if you've not read this ordinance or the settlement offered by the hospital that was accepted, that was not accepted by the residents, I ask you to read it. Be informed. Regardless of the vote tonight or the lawsuits by the residents, this council will continue to make every effort during the expansion process to protect the hospitals and the neighbors. On a side note, I would like to take the opportunity to thank all of the Holy Name employees that are here for your tireless dedication to our Teaneck residents during COVID. And yes, I will be voting tonight yes for the hospital.
Well, this has been a difficult decision to have to make. One thing that looks like is best for all, maybe not best for some. Something that will be best for some is not going to be necessarily best for all. So there's a give and a take that has to occur. And I think the key points here are, this has gone on for 2 years. There has been good faith effort and discussion. There has been given back and forth. And we're at this point where now a decision has to be made. All right, I want you to consider a couple of things here. A number of years ago, the state did a study on beds, hospital beds, and they found that Bergen County was the most overbedded county in the state of New Jersey. It's probably sitting somewhere in the neighborhood of over 600 beds. I know this because I'm in the healthcare industry, for those who don't know it. I'm a director of rehab medicine at a hospital down in Elizabeth who was just bought by Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas. So I have a pretty good understanding of how that works as well, and how important it is that the person, the facility that's getting bought has to be in as strong a financial position and has to be as large and expansive as it possibly can be in order to make the best possible deal, not only for themselves from a business standpoint, but from their community. because I know in my community where I am down in Elizabeth, we're serving a 20% indigent population of charity care patients, and we have to survive or nobody gets the care. Now, what's going on here in Bergen County is similar, and the fact that we've already closed the hospital, now it reopened, okay, as a boutique hospital up in Pascack, under Hackensack, but it closed. It closed because we're overbedded. We're still overbedded. I don't know what Holy Name census is. I haven't gotten a chance to look at it, but I'm sure they're running about 50% of their total licensed beds. That's usually the amount that we're able to run. And at the same time, the hospitals are getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed by the insurance companies. In order to deal and manage with the insurance companies, you have to be bigger, you have to have a higher number of people you're serving, and you have to have a higher number of services in order to negotiate rates that will let you stay alive. Margins of 1% or 0.5% or 2% doesn't take care of it, doesn't expand services, doesn't give raises to workers, and doesn't help the people we're trying to help save. So while I understand the feelings on both sides of this, I also see the great need to support Holy Name in any way possible, because the healthcare economy and the hospital economy demands it. We have to help them. So I will be voting yes. All right. So I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 22-2022, 22, and 23-2022.
Seeking a motion.
I've been asked for a point of personal privilege, and I'm going to call for a 5-minute recess.
We will return in 5 minutes. Pause in the record, pause in the Zoom.
Recording stopped. I think just have a closed session.
Mike went to the bathroom, and I stood right here. I am fairly certain there was no quorum. I sure as hell wasn't getting out of there.
Ordinance adopted.
You know, she's so isolated here. So where's
I got my sleeping bag under my desk. Go.
Okay. Before we move on to the vote here, I'm going to ask for a representative of the hospital and a representative of the neighbors to stand up here, please.
Recording in progress.
We're not going to have a discussion, but I want to just place an emphasis here.
We're represented by counsel. We can't stand up. I'm sorry. I apologize. Rob Simon is on the Zoom. You can call Rob in, please.
Okay,
Rob Simon, please
we're
bring
just
Rob
going to
in.
be telling you something.
That's fine. I'd like Rob Simon to be called in
That's
to
fine.
represent us.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm bringing him in right now. He was quick with the agreement, so I think he's paying attention.
Is he on?
Yeah, that's it. He's up to the top bars.
Okay.
And
You can hear me? Give me a thumbs up that you can hear me on the Zoom there? Okay, all right.
And for the record, my name is Wendy Berger.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay. Here's what we want. What we want from the hospital and from the good neighbors is a commitment, a strong commitment, that you will continue to talk to each other and try and come to some agreements on some of these issues as we move forward. I want that commitment from both of you.
Yes.
Do I have the commitment from the neighbors?
Absolutely, with the proviso that what is the disposition of this ordinance or ordinances?
No. The vote is coming up,
Well,
but I
if-
need,
if-
no, I'm sorry, sir. I got a commitment from the hospital. What I want is a commitment from both parties. Now, you've been going at it for 2 years. And every time we think we have an agreement, we don't have an agreement. We do have an agreement. We have a partial agreement. We have an agreement in principle. We have this part's agreed to, this part's not. We want to give you, again, the opportunity, but we want that commitment that you will sit down and do this.
Absolutely, we will make that commitment,
right.
110%.
All right, so we have a commitment on the part of the hospital to continue to discuss these items, and we have a commitment on the part of the good neighbors to continue the discussion to try and get some of these other things hammered out. Am I in
Correct.
agreement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Doug, we have a motion to approve ordinance number 22, 2022, and 23, 2022. Do I hear a second?
I'll make a second. Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
do you want to do each ordinance by itself, or?
I think we should, being that there was a protest filed on
Oh, okay.
22.
We can only do them all together, so I think that we're better off to do them all together unless it's
All right.
That's how we normally do it. Okay. All right, let's call the roll.
So that was a first from Mayor Dunleavy, a second from Deputy Mayor Katz. Councilwoman Rami Rice.
Yes, with the agreed commitment on both parties to continue the negotiation discussions.
Councilman Began. Yes. Councilman Organ. Oh, sorry. Councilman Kaplan. Yes. Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes on 22, 2022, and yes on 23, 2022, and also looking forward to continued dialogue.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes on both, and I too hope that dialogue continues because I think it's in the best interest of the town and everybody involved.
Both adopted, publications going out tomorrow.